Hi there, this is Janet Gershen-Siegel, and this is Module 6 of Quantcast Social Media Analytics class. And today I'm going to go on to Module 6, and we're going to talk about NESN. Now let's move on to the slideshow quickly. Now this is about NESN's key analytics. It's an exploration of visitors to NESN.com. Now first I want to just quickly start with the company brand overview, although I have talked about this before. New England Sports Network, NESN, also known as NESN, is a regional television channel with a wide and varied social media presence. They have a Facebook page, they have a Tumblr blog, although it seems to be only pulled from their regular page. They have a Twitter stream. They have a Pinterest board, actually several Pinterest boards, but they don't seem to be well kept up. There seems to also be an Instagram account. The emphasis is on New England sports, however, national and international events are also covered. The industry is cable, Xfinity Media, and the homepage is NESN.com, which happens to be a WordPress blog. Market segmentation. Now, to quote Michael King, who on Twitter is located at iPullRank, he says, and I quote, "The art of segmentation is about narrowing your focus in on people in the market more likely to become your users' customers so that you can better serve them. This applies not only to your product and or service, but your content as well," end quote. And what essentially Mr. King is saying is that when you don't target anybody, then, or rather when you target everyone, you're not targeting anybody. And that's actually very true about NESN itself offline, because when you consider what is NESN really about, it's a sports net, it all says it in the title. It's New England Sports Network. This is, while they might cover the sports in, say, Sri Lanka, their emphasis is on New England. And while they might on occasion show some news stories that are outside of sports, the truth is that their focus is on sports. Segments. Let me explain what segments are. Segments are the groupings of similar entities, and that might sound kind of simplistic, so let me give you a little for instance here. In sports, there's the greatest analogy in sports, because essentially that's either a team or it's the sport itself. So if a segment is a team, such as the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox, because that groups similar entities such as players, or it could be a sport, football, golf, basketball, hockey, etc., because that groups similar entities, such as football groups together the Patriots, the Eagles, etc., etc. Cohorts. These are groupings based upon similar experiences, and so of course this is going to be people, more like people. And in sports, these tend to be athletes who play the same positions, such as pitchers or quarterbacks. However, these could also be team members. So if we're looking at our cohorts as being pitchers, then that includes Mariano Rivera and Sandy Koufax, and that actually also includes people who aren't pitching anymore. But if you only wanted to look at relief pitchers, then Koufax is out of the mix, and Mariano Rivera gets is paired with Koji Uehara and guys like that. Or if you're looking at a team as a collection of cohorts, then the Red Sox cohorts would include guys like Dustin Pedroia and David Ortiz. Personae. A persona is an archetypal or sample person. For example, John Lester, and that picture is actually taken off of the NESN Pinterest board. He's a pitcher. Is he a typical pitcher? He's a typical good pitcher, I would say. His win-loss percentage is close to, is a little less than 2/3, so he is better than the average. But recognize that averages for sports are not really going to all completely average out to 50% for win-loss percentages for every single pitcher out there. And the reason being is that pitchers who are doing really badly are usually either going to be put onto the disabled list or they're going to be sent down the minors. So the number of pitchers who are active from day to day, if you average all of their average win-losses together, you'd probably get a figure that's a bit higher than 50%. So this 632 isn't too far off the mark for a quote-unquote typical pitcher, and particularly if you are a little more granular and say a typical good pitcher, then yeah, he's right in there. His salary's gone up every year, and if you want to check his stats, they're on baseballreferences.com. And he's never played on another major league team. That's actually not quite so typical these days. But for a very good pitcher, of course, understandably, a team is going to want to hold on to them. Now, for the persona that I'm looking for NESN, for a visitor to NESN, I'm checking quantitative data, and I'm attempting to determine the persona's typical geography, gender, and age. And then I'm going to put together a persona. First things first, we're going to look at Quantcast, and I'm sorry that's a little cut off. These are United States demographics for Quantcast for NESN, and the first thing that you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner is that male is off the charts and female is very low. Your typical gender, the typical persona gender is overwhelmingly male. The second figure is right in the center of the ages, and for ages 25 to 54, that they're a little bit higher than the norm, whereas for younger and older groups, they're a bit lower than the norm. So I would put their typical persona as being somewhere between ages 25 and 55. Looking at geography, this is from Chartbeat, I believe. Just looking at the geography, the pins in the board cluster right around the New England, New York area. And while California does have 15% of the inside the U.S. Audience, when you add Massachusetts and New York together, you get 19%. And it doesn't show anything beyond the top 5, but I would not be shocked to see that the remainder of the top 5 might very well be the other 5 New England states, or maybe some other Northeast states, such as New Jersey, because you can see that the PIDs are really clustered in the northeastern part of the United States. So here's your persona, and yes, I have permission to use this picture because this is a picture of my husband. He is the typical NESN viewer and visitor to the site. Jay the sports fan. He's male, of course. He's between ages of 25 and 55, or he is from the Northeast United States, New England, New York resident, actually, and actually he's been both. So he fits right within NESN's wheelhouse. Looking at NESN's key performance indicators, I'm looking at unique visitors, traffic sources, and landing pages, and this is because I want to know how many unique people are visiting NESN.com and where they're going to be going first on the site, because this is in an effort to determine whether attempts to attract visitors are working. That's my goal here. When I look at Quantcast, they've got a nice breakdown of unique visitors, and what they're saying is in the past few days, the number of unique visitors has gone down. But I suspect that this is due to the fact that the U.S. isn't doing quite so well in the World Cup. Mobile web usage remains high. For my specific persona, who is an American visitor, any interest in the World Cup is probably waning because the United States isn't doing so hot. The data agrees with this assessment. And here's Quantcast, and you can see that figure is starting to go down. Now the darker ribbon at the top, that's mobile usage. That remains rather high. Now when we look at Compete, they also are looking at unique visitors, but they've got them over the course of 12 months. And while the uniques have dipped in the last few days, they've really soared in the past year. And my persona is particularly interested in watching if his teams are winning. Like most sports fans, he's more interested in, he's going to watch to the bitter end if his teams are winning, and he's going to be looking online to see how their stats are and whatnot, because he's looking for pictures that he wants to like and share and things like that. And I'm not just talking about my husband, I'm talking about your typical buyer persona here. Notwithstanding how the Red Sox happen to be doing this year, New England teams on balance have done rather well in the past 12 months. What would my target be if I was NESN? I would say probably 1.6 million unique visitors, and according to Compete, they're almost there. That figure all the way at the top, that bar at the top, is 1.6 million, and they are just under it. Are they going to get there? Probably. And how can they get there faster? Well, if the teams keep winning and if they do better, or if there's some sort of a major scandal, something that NESN is covering really well, yeah, they're going to get there. Chartbeat also looks at traffic sources. It shows links, internal and direct, happen to be the most popular traffic sources. Top links are coming from Yahoo and Zergnet. Zergnet is an advertising site. Social and search have far smaller slices of the pie. However, Facebook is the biggest social traffic source by far. Search is still dominated by terms about the World Cup, all completely understandable. My persona is a fan, but he's already got NESN bookmarked. So social and search are a lot less vital to him because he knows how to get to NESN. He doesn't have to search. What's his target? What's our target here? Is to attain more traffic from other sources, including social. Probably try to mix it up a little bit. And here's Chartbeat's numbers. The gold bar at the bottom is internal, and that's the biggest, and that's almost as big as links, which is the blue. I'm looking in the lower left-hand corner. Direct, which is the rust color, that's pretty big. And then social is purple and search is green, and those are both rather small. So if we want to push social, NESN either doesn't seem to be doing that, or maybe they're not doing it quite the way they should. Let's look at landing pages. Chartbeat says the current top pages have to do with Michelle Wie and the World Cup. However, there's a story about Johnny Damon being beamed at the Yankees old-timers game, and that's getting a little traction. That's kind of understandable because Johnny Damon played for the Boston Red Sox. My persona, it's very possible that he's going to be looking at these top news stories, but he's really looking for scores, and he's looking for local sports because all of these other top stories, they're not New England, although the Yankee game is certainly the New York area. What's the target? Let's bring the conversation back to New England specific sports, because if I'm not looking for New England specific sports, why am I on NESN? Why am I not on, say, ESPN, which is also a sports network and is one that isn't tied directly to New England? And here's Chartbeat. Big numbers from Michelle Wie. Why? Well, because she was drinking from the trophy and she was twerking. That would do it. But our other bigger pages are things like the front page, watching 2014 FIFA World Cup live, that's the live stream, and then Johnny Damon getting beamed, poor guy. And then the remainder are, there's another World Cup page, there's something about Jabari Parker, and there's a little report on Kevin Garnett. So there's a little something on basketball, even though it's not the season. What are my conclusions? NESN might not be the best site for social, unless a conversation can be started about a trade or a conversation or a controversial call or retirement or some other compelling top local news story. Right now there doesn't seem to be one. World Cup is dominating, but that's going to go away. NESN should encourage these kinds of conversations, I would say. I think that they should, and I also think they should allow them to be somewhat free-willing. Sports people can be very passionate about their likes and dislikes and about their teams. If NESN can allow maybe a little more play in this area, then I think they could get conversations going, and they could sustain them, and that would probably push social a lot better than anything else that they would be doing. What's another conclusion? NESN is well recognized, so they don't seem to need search quite so much. SEO is vital for everybody, but it doesn't seem to be quite so important here because everybody knows the URL for NESN. The URL for NESN is NESN. So they're probably just either typing it directly in or they've already bookmarked the site. Link referrals are a very good source of unique visitors. If I were NESN, I'd be using them even more. So, and particularly because Yahoo is such an important gateway for them, I would be looking for other news portals to be advertising on, such as AOL or Google News. Why not? This is where your audience, a nice chunk of your audience seems to be coming from. I think advertising dollars could go there. It would be an intelligent place to spend some money. Thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to what everybody else has got.